You mentioned social media trolling, Eddie. You and Tank obviously went back and forth. Gervonta Davis on Twitter. Give me your assessment of your interaction with Gervonta?
It was pretty respectful, really. I met Tank at our first show or second show on HBO that I promoted when we had Danny Jacobs. It was Danny Jacobs against Zaleski. And I really get on well with Tank. I respect him. I think he's a great fighter. I couldn't say anything bad about him. I know that me and Leonard Ellaby have our back and forths, but the kid is a star, right? And he's a great fighter, and there's nothing negative to say about him in boxing. And he just said to me, those guys, they're not making my money. I'm not actually sure about that, but it's like you're missing the point. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying that they're making your money. I don't actually believe that comment, but I'm just saying we just want to see it. And, it's very, very simple. Oscar says that show did 90,000 buys. Leonard Ellaby says that show did 215,000 buys. Whatever. Call it 200,000 pay-per-view buys. At some point, you have to realize that the other side will make a major contribution to the pay-per-view element, right? So if Tank boxed Devin Haney, how many buys does that do? 5, 6, 700,000 buys. If Tank boxed Teofimo, same. If Tank boxed Ryan Garcia, and that's a big one as well. Much respect to Tank, love the guy, love the fighter. In this instance, I just sit there as a fan and someone's promoting Devin Haney and saying, it's not a good look to say, I'm making loads of money, I don't need you guys, you're desperate, you need me. No, because they bring you a lot. They bring you a lot. 200,000 buys is not a lot. And when you talk about restricting an audience, right?
Yeah.
200,000 people, the audience for that fight in America. That is not a lot.
Nah, I couldn't agree with you more on that, Eddie. Listen, shifting gears here, you were on this show and you mentioned when we first mentioned Wilder Fury 3, you didn't believe it would happen. You said, no, I don't see how this is going to happen on July 24th. And we all know the fight was canceled, postponed to a later date, October. Eddie, why did you know? What was it about this fight that you didn't think it would take place?
I just don't feel that, a supposed mega fight like that, and it is a big fight, just flicks the switch with 7-8 weeks to go and just says, right, this is the date we're going. There are too many, when you know the business, there's too many issues. So we were, 3 weeks out, there was no broadcaster in the UK announced, right? Just that doesn't happen. He has a contract with BT. They never announced the fight. They'd sold no tickets, basically. You could go online and check the T-Mobile manifest. I don't know whether it was 25 or 30% of the tickets had been sold, but that's disastrous. There was no hype, right? This was going to do very, very poor pay-per-view numbers. I don't believe, when we found out that this fight was dead, our original date was August the 14th, right, for the fight. And we sat down with AJ and said, right, Usyk, let's just book it in August the 14th. And he was like, and the team were like, whoa, right? I've just spent my last 4 or 5 months training for Tyson Fury, sparring for Tyson Fury. Firstly, this is really deflating. And secondly, now I'm fighting a completely different fighter who I need a completely different camp for, completely different sparring partner. So we delayed it till, 7 weeks later to give him the chance to just, realize he's not fighting Fury, reset mentally, reset in camp, and then go again. So when you're due to fight AJ, or supposedly due to fight AJ, and then 8 weeks later, then they tell you, right, you're fighting Wilder in 8 weeks. The whole thing stunk, and it's so disjointed everywhere. You've got about 8 people working on the fight who don't particularly like each other, and I don't know. If you're sitting there, right, and you've got 2 guys who are on a 60-40 split. Now, in some scenarios, those guys won't be on a guarantee. They'll just be taking the revenue from the fight. In other scenarios, the promoter will be guaranteeing them a purse or a minimum purse for that fight. So if you're sitting there at the show and you're saying, okay, this gate was supposed to take, I don't know, $15 million, and we've sold $3 million worth of tickets, then you do a press conference and Deontay Wilder sits there with headphones on the whole time, and you're budgeting that this show's going to do 1 million pay-per-view buys, and you're now sitting there saying, this might only do 300,000, right? Number one, if the fighters are on the money with no guarantee, they're looking at it and saying, well, I thought I was going to make $25 million. I might walk away with 10. And if Top Rank or somebody else is guaranteeing that $25 million, they're looking at it and saying, I might be losing $20 million on the guarantees all round. So we need to just abort. We need to abort and reset and try and sell this thing. Abort. That's the language, Brack. Abort.
Oh my God, this is crazy. This is the biggest fight.
And weird and very strange to say it's going to now happen in October. You know, and Bob Arum said that Fury was fully vaccinated.